I would like to extend a warm welcome to all councillors to this annual council meeting on the 12th of May 2025. Welcome to those who may be watching the meeting live on YouTube. I am Councillor David Hawkins, Chairman of the Council. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. Please switch any mobile devices, including laptops, to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. If the fire alarm rings during the meeting, please can everyone leave the room immediately and use the nearest signed fire exit route. Please go to the fire assembly point, which is located at the bottom of the car park where the garages are. Apologies. Chief Exec, do you have any apologies to report?
Thank you. Apologies for absence have been received from Councillors Adams, Reid, Thierry and Woods. Are there any other apologies?
Councillor Rackham.
Councillor Rackham, any other apologies? Thank you.
Thank you. Do members agree the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of April 24 is a correct record? 25, sorry, is a correct record. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest in connection with any agenda item for this meeting? Thank you very much. Item 3, Chief Executive to lead this item. Vote of thanks to the outgoing Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Cleary, I understand you have a motion to put to the Council.
Thank you. Yes, I do. That the thanks of this council be extended to Councillor Hawkins for the admirable way in which he has carried out the duties of chairman during the past municipal year.
Councillor Sleep, are you happy to second?
Yes, I'm happy to second.
Do any other members wish to speak? Members, I trust that motion is carried.
Agenda item 4, outgoing Chairman's statement. At the end of the Chairman's statement, Chief Exec to read.
I would now like to ask the outgoing Chairman, Councillor Hawkins, to step down to the well of the chamber to receive his past Chairman's badge.
That's shameful.
Before we move on to agenda item 5, I'd just like to thank my helpers. Helpers, without them, the job couldn't be done. It really made it a pleasure to work doing the job that we do as chair. Sue Jennings, was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I think we all give her an applause. John's going to be lucky because she does all the work. And I'd like to thank John too. He's done a fantastic job working with me as vice chair. You do get loads and loads of invitations and you can't go to them all. It'd be suicide to do so. So I asked John and John was there. He was fantastic. So he deserves his chair because he's been very, very good. Thank you, John. And I'd like to thank you, my colleagues, my councillor colleagues, for putting up with me for this 12 months. It's very nice to see you all smiling. Lovely. Keep smiling. No rages. But thank you very much indeed. And thank you, Chief Exec, for all your help. Thank you. Agenda item 5, election of chairman. I would like to formally move that the council's nomination, Councillor John Sleep, be the chairman of the council for the municipal year of 2025/26. Hugh Cleary, I understand you wish to second that proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I wholeheartedly second this.
Members, I trust that the motion is carried. Agreed. I confirm that Councillor Sleep is elected for the council for 2025/26. Members, I would now like to ask newly elected Chairman John Sleep to join me in the well of the chamber to sign the declaration of acceptance of office and receive the chairman's chain of office before taking the chair. Would the newly elected chairman's consort Denise please join the chairman to receive a bouquet of flowers?
We'll take agenda item 6, addressed by the Chairman of the Council. Madam Council Leader, fellow councillors, council officers, ladies and gentlemen. May I first thank Councillor Hawkins for his sterling commitment in representing us so well before me. It was a pleasure to support you through your year, David. I'm now honoured to be given the opportunity to stand for you all in this year ahead. At present, we are all filled with trepidation as to what the representation of our forest communities will be in this future devolved plan. We stand as an extremely healthy, thriving and democratically sane council with a healthy opposition. I'm sure we are all united in this moment in ensuring this community of ours still has a voice at this devolved table. Our leader and senior officers have by unstinting and ongoing efforts managed to get us to that table to give us that voice. We are all asking ourselves how many of us will remain at this new combined system to stand for all our various forest communities fairly and for them still to be heard. Some of our councillors are more vocal than others in their representation. In the weeks ahead, we will be having healthy debate to leave no stone unturned in making sure we have covered all aspects of where this future leads us. I will do my best to allow all who represent their wards the opportunity to have their voice. On that basis, at least we can reassure our people that we have all done our utmost to present a strong argument for maximum representation. The future is in doubt as to how much is already decided or that we can influence, but we stand in a strong and healthy position to help form the new devolved system. With a positive and unified outlook, we look on to the future. Finally, I'm very much looking forward to representing our council and the communities we serve at a local level and beyond. With the support of my wife and consort Denise, we will take great pride in undertaking this honour, and we are very much looking forward to our year in office. I will be supporting Solent Mind and Youth and Families Matter as my chosen charities. Thank you all. We will now take agenda item 7, appointment of Vice Chairman. I would like to formally move that the Council's nomination, Councillor Dave Penny, be the Vice Chairman of the Council for the municipal year 25-26. Councillor Cleary, I understand that you wish to second that proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I wholeheartedly second this proposal.
Members, I trust that motion is carried. I confirm Councillor Penny as Vice Chairman of the Council. Members, Councillor Penny will now sign the declaration of acceptance of office and receive the Vice Chairman's badge of office. Would the Vice Chairman's consort Janice please join the Vice Chairman in the well of the chamber to receive the Vice Chairman's consort badge and a bouquet of flowers. Councillor Penny, congratulations on your appointment. Would you like to address the council? All right. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a good view from up here. Firstly, I would like to thank my proposer, Councillor Sleep, and my seconder, Councillor Cleary, and of course, for your support in voting me into this office. I'd also like to thank my lovely family, my wife, and all my kids and grandchildren for being here tonight. Thank you. It's a great honour to represent you as Vice Chairman for the upcoming year, and I will do my best to represent you all at any events that enable me to promote the hard work given by councillors, council officers, and all the staff of our wonderful council, and of course, the people of our community that we all represent. Thank you. We now move on to agenda item 8, amendments to Constitution. Councillor Cleary, will you now introduce this item and the recommendation from seeking approval of the amendments to the Constitution?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I will. You will see that this is agenda item 8. It starts on page 21. It is just literally almost like a housework kind of thing, amendments to the Constitution and a delegation of powers to officers. And the recommendation is that Council approves the amendments to the Constitution as set out in the report and attached appendices.
Councillor Davis, Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman. Thank you.
Members, this item is now open to debate. Are there any speakers? I won't ask Councillor Cleary to respond because there's no need to. No. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation seeking approval of the amendments to the Constitution. I will now ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Yeah, members, that vote is now open. We're closing the vote now.
Members, I'm happy to announce this motion is carried. Agenda item 9, allocation of seats and appointments to committees and panels. Members, the Council is required to review the proportionality on committees at its annual meeting. The report circulated with the agenda sets this out. Appendix 2 details the names of councillors to be appointed to each committee. Leader, will you move the recommendations?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I move the recommendations.
Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Happy to second, Chairman.
Does any member wish to speak on this item? Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendations. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
Members, that vote's now open. Members, we're closing the vote.
Members, that motion is carried. Where am I now? Item 10. 10? That's 10. Agenda item 10, notice of motion. Members, in accordance with Standing Order 42.2, I will allay this motion to be dealt with this evening, as I do consider it to be convenient to the dispatch of business. Councillor Parker, I invite you to move your motion. You have 5 minutes if you so wish.
Thank you, Chairman. Do you want to hear all of it? And can I give a comment at the end as well? Is that permitted?
You can speak for 5 minutes.
You can speak for 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. This council notes, 1, democratic accountability in Hampshire. The current devolution process in Hampshire must prioritise democratic governance and accountability to ensure that decisions are made in the best interests of Hampshire residents. 2, the high cost of standing. The mayoral elections in England require a £5,000 deposit and a £5,000 contribution for inclusion in a candidate booklet, which deters capable individuals from running for office. While it's essential to discourage frivolous candidacies, the cost should be lowered and alternative mechanisms considered, such as requiring candidates to gather a specified number of signatures from electors. 3, voting system change. Until 2023, mayoral elections in England were conducted under the supplementary vote system, which provided a fairer voting mechanism compared to the first-past-the-post system now in use. This council believes that, 1, lowering financial barriers would encourage greater participation and diversity among candidates, enhancing democracy. 2, reintroducing a fairer voting system using supplementary vote or a similarly fairer voting system would ensure a more representative and democratic outcome. This council resolves to 1, call for the cost of standing for election to be lowered by reducing deposit requirements and introducing alternative mechanisms, such as requiring a specified number of signatures from electors to discourage frivolous candidacies. 2, support the reintroduction of a fairer voting system, such as the supplementary vote. 3, request formal support from the Leader of Hampshire County Council, the Minister for Communities, Housing and Local Government, and the local MPs. Invite the Leader of the Council to write to the above recipients unless the Leader does not support the motion, then instead invite the Chief Executive Officer. 4, promote these reforms. During the devolution process, in our interactions with Hampshire County Council, the Minister for Communities, Housing and Local Government and other relevant stakeholders. I've got a brief comment that hopefully I've got time for. This motion is about strengthening the foundations of our local democracy here in the New Forest and across Hampshire. It proposes practical, common sense changes to ensure that as power shifts and evolves, it remains firmly rooted in transparency, accessibility for all, and fairness. The aim is a local government that not only serves its residents, but is also shaped by them, reflecting their diverse voices and earning their trust. The cornerstone of a healthy democracy is the ability of a diverse range of capable individuals to stand for public office, irrespective of their personal financial standing, or as we see nationally, the even deeper pockets of some politicians' backers. However, the current costs associated with contesting mayoral elections in England erect considerable financial barriers, potentially undermining this principle. Candidates for directly elected mayors often face substantial upfront costs. In some instances, the combined costs of standing can be 20 times higher than standing to be an MP. This is ludicrous. This double whammy of a deposit and a booklet fee significantly amplifies the initial financial hurdle, making it exceptionally difficult for individuals without substantial personal funds or extensive party backing to even consider standing. I urge fellow councillors to endorse this motion as a positive and necessary step towards strengthening local democracy. This is about ensuring that as our governance structures evolve, they do so in a way that enhances public trust, encourages participation, and genuinely empowers the communities they are established to serve, making our local democracy fit for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Parker. I believe that this motion is now going to be seconded by Councillor Malcolm Wade rather than Councillor Richards, as detailed on the council agenda. Is this correct? Councillor Wade, you have 3 minutes, or do you wish to reserve the right to speak later?
I reserve the right to speak at the end, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Cleary, I understand that you wish to make an amendment to this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I do. There are things I agree with this motion, and then there are 3 things that I do not agree with. So I would like those taken out. 3, voting system change. Until 2023, mayoral elections in England were conducted under the supplementary vote system, which provided a fairer voting mechanism compared to the first past the post system now in use. I do not agree with that. 2, reintroduction of a fairer voting system using supplementary vote or a similarly fairer voting system would ensure a more representative and democratic outcome. I do not agree with that. 2, support the reintroduction of a fairer voting system such as the supplementary vote for mayoral elections in England. I do not agree with that. If you take those 3 out, I will agree to your motion.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Davis, I understand you were second. Would you like to speak now or later in the debate?
Yeah, happy to second, Chairman. I'll speak later in the debate. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I now call speakers on the amendment proposed by Councillor Cleary, please? We got first. Oh, sorry.
Who are you going to pick?
Point of order, sorry, are we taking are we going to be able to speak on the amendment and then speak on the motion afterwards? Okay, thank you.
Amendment.
Right, okay.
Councillor Heron.
Yeah. Councillor Heron, would you like to speak first?
Thank you very much, Chairman. This country has on a number of occasions looked at an alternative to the first past the post, including the proposal that's within this paper, and resoundingly every time it has been defeated. I think that the proposal put before us of changing our results in an election by mediocrity. It's not who you want to lead you, it's who you least object to leading to you. And I think that it makes for exceptionally poor government and simply gives a voice to those who, in minorities parties, who wish to find a soapbox on which to stand. For that reason, I will be supporting the amendment. Thank you.
Councillor Tipp?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'd like to congratulate Councillor Parker on bringing this motion to the Chamber. I think it's right that we should be speaking about these things and discussing them. And on the other points in the motion, I agree with them. But on this particular point, I don't agree. And it's interesting, isn't it, to note that the words used in the motion are highly, unfair, really, because who would vote against a fairer voting system? I think it's rather unfair to put that in that way, because I personally think that the fairest voting system of all is the simplest system. And the simplest system is first past the post. I mean, why shouldn't it be right that the person who gets the most votes in an election is elected? In these other systems, you make it more complicated. You have to add in second choices, even third choices, and you end up, as Councillor Heron said, with the person that's least unpopular possibly getting in. And words do matter. I mean, you say a more representative and democratic outcome. The word democratic can easily be misused. For example, in North Korea, they call it the Democratic People's Republic. East Germany was the German Democratic Republic. So words do matter, and I think that it's important that we don't use the wrong words. So I would certainly take out the word fairer, and let's say an alternative voting system, but I'm sticking to first past the post, and I think that's the best system of all. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Glass?
Thank you. I'd like to agree with Councillor Cleary's amendment to the motion. I've seen these alternative voting things going on. Chaos personified. You don't get a result the same day because you've got to count, then count the alternatives, add 3, take away the first number you thought of, and you get a total muddle. If we take the person who gets the most votes, it's simple. It works. It's been proven to work over years and years. Why change something that works? And I really strongly object to you saying for a better voting system. I've seen it working and it's far from better. It's far from adequate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Glass. Councillor Malcolm Wade?
Thank you, Chairman. The thing about democracy, we get people elected on minority, so it's not democratic per se. But I want to pay tribute to, I think, Councillor Cleary. I think she's very courageous in bringing about this amendment, and to those Conservatives that are supporting it. Because after the absolute drubbing you got in the election just recently, you could very well be one of the smaller parties who benefit from this. So really, you're shooting yourselves in the foot by doing this. But hey, you know, it's down to you, isn't it? I think it's very courageous to do that. And I'm sure when the last Conservative councillor is elected, he or she will know, well, I'm one on my own.
Thank you. Councillor Jack Davis?
Thank you. I was getting worried there you weren't going to call me. I object to the change on the amendment on the basis that, firstly, on the notes here, voting system change, well, it was a fact that until 2023 mayoral elections were conducted on the supplementary vote system. That's a fact. I wouldn't support removing that. I would also say that as the local elections showed, just how fragmented politics has become. It's no longer about Conservative versus Labour. You've now got the Reform Party. You've now got the Liberal Democrats, who had fantastic successes. Both got significantly more councillors than the Conservatives at the last local elections. And it would show that actually in this era where you've got many different voices, all of them should be heard. A fairer voting system makes sure that every vote counts. It's not just the case that one party, which is usually the Conservatives, sneak home on 20-30% of the vote, as we saw in some wards in the local elections in 2023. It would give everybody a say. And I think it's the reason the Conservatives are so scared of it is because they know they would lose out.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade?
I take point on the comment on mediocrity, because 34% of our country voted for a party that have over two-thirds of MPs, and I don't think that's a fair voting system. And that's first past the post. And none of us in this room, with possibly one exception, would necessarily agree with how they are getting on. So I don't buy that argument. I also agree on representation. I think many people are put off voting locally, nationally. You know, the Police Crime Commissioner, ourselves, we're all voted on pretty small percentage of the communities that we represent. You know, I think no more than 38-39% vote in any of our district wards, down at 24% in some of the others. And that could be because people do not have a choice to go with their second choice, or have a voting system that gives them confidence in it and better representation. So I respectfully disagree with the amendments, because anything that could encourage more people to vote, more percentage of our communities coming out at local elections, I'm all for, because the current system, the percentages are just not good enough. None of us can say half our communities have voted for us, because the local election numbers are so low. So that's why I'd be willing to support this.
Thank you. Councillor Harrison?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, all. I think there's a little bit of self-interest at play here, isn't it? We would probably all say that the fairest voting system is the one that puts us into office. And certainly that's been the mantra of the Conservative Party over many years. I suspect that when you're reduced to such a small number, your policy on this might change. I think the original motion that's been put forward is a very good one. It's a liberal one. It's a democratic one. you can't really expect people who sit on the other side of the chamber to support anything that involves fairer votes. But again, I appeal to you, think about the bigger picture here. The one thing that we probably all share is that democracy is under serious threat. It's under serious threat because people don't believe that when they go and vote, if indeed they do decide to vote, it makes any difference at all. And here we have an opportunity of having an election which runs concurrent with what happens across every country in Europe. Councillor Glass contends that it's chaotic. Well, what he's saying is that every election in every European country, with the exception of Belarus, is chaotic. I think not. I think we can probably learn a few things from our European neighbours. And again, it's part of the conservative arrogance that says we know best. Patently, you don't know best. And when this council finishes itself, dies away, you'll regret this decision. So I make this appeal to you, ladies and gentlemen, support this motion and do something different that surprises me for a change.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong.
Thank you, Chairman. Now for something a little bit different. We're not going to change Labour's mind before next May. They are a political party and they're not going to vote this one through by next May with everything else they're doing. So I'm all for balance. I thank Councillor Parker for bringing this forward because it's an interesting debate on the two sides of the chamber again, which we're always going to get that. Someone taught me many years ago there's balance, and in common sense terms, this will not get passed to change the electoral system before next May. Now, I'm not going to give you my views on what is right and what is wrong, but the fact is it's not going to change before next May. But if we can change the cost for other people who can't afford it, I am totally for that because it's way beyond what many people in the chamber would want to pay out. So I agree with Adam with what he's put forward, and thank you for that comprehensive report. But I will agree with the amendment only because we're not going to get the change through by next May. And so there's a balance to what we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Richards.
I can't support the amendment for the simple reason that first past the post just doesn't work very well in a multi-party system such as we have at the moment. Like last week, there was a mayoral election for the mayor of the west of England, but the winner was elected with only 25% of the vote. And when that happens, it's not surprising that most people have given up on the whole thing and didn't even bother to turn out to vote in the election. So our new mayor in Hampshire could do great things. But that's not going to happen if they're only working in the interests of a tiny proportion of the people who elected them. And so that's why we should return to a fairer voting system, such as the supplementary voting system, because it ensures that the winner has broad support amongst the people that they're supposed to be representing.
Thank you. Councillor Murray.
Yes, thank you. I will try and be brief. My personal experience of the two voting systems in terms of first past the post and a multi-round supplementary voting system, looking critically into the party, Conservative parties use a multi-modal system to elect leaders. That's the reason Liz Truss got in. So personally, in terms of fast past the post, I think for a mayoral election, I can understand the argument if it was across the board or MPs or German style, French style, and you get this conglomerate, this melting pot, yet proportional representationism, fine. I can understand the argument. But when you're looking at a single piece, a single figurehead person, I can't see why first past the post isn't the most sensible option. As well as the fact, as Councillor Armstrong rightly said, we've got less than 12 months to push this through in a government that aren't listening to anybody other than themselves.
Yeah.
So I think the amendment makes more sense. I think the original motion is rigorous and it's really good. And I look forward to voting for that with the amendment in place.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? Councillor Clark?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. While we may differ from reform on many issues, there is actually one vital principle on which we fully agree, which is our voting system is broken. It's time to fix it in this small example here. But first past the post locks millions out of meaningful representation. It silences voices. It trenches division. And it hands power to governments that the majority did not vote for, authorities. Whether you're a Liberal Democrat, a Reform voter, a Green or an independent thinker, and thank you to Adam for bringing this forward, your vote should count. And you yourself, Mr. Chairman, talked about democracy in your opening speech. Reform UK, we agree with, is right to demand change. And we stand with them in that call. Perhaps in a couple of years' time, we'll be facing people with teal badges instead of blue ones. We may favour different models, but we can share the same goal, a system where power lies with the people, not with stitched up party machines. It's bigger than party politics. It's about restoring trust in democracy, which you yourself again mentioned, Mr. Chairman, and making sure that every vote has a value, an equal value, whoever you are, wherever you live. So together, perhaps we could push for a fairer, freer, more representative Britain with Reform and the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? I'll go back to Councillor Davis as seconder. Did you wish to speak now?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, a very interesting debate, and my congratulations to Councillor Parker for bringing this forward. It was well thought through and well represented. But I clearly remember in 2011, during the coalition, we had a vote on alternative voting, and I was one of the 67% of the electorate that voted against it. I haven't changed my view at all, as you probably realise. It's not about party politics. It's about voting for the candidate that you want to win. It's as simple as that. If you are strong enough, if you fiercely believe in what you're standing for, then that will come across. And if people like what you're saying, they will vote for you. They will not be voting for someone else. So I firmly believe in first past the post, and I'm very happy, obviously, to second this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Cleary, would you like to respond to the debate?
Thank you all. I think you've had a really good debate. There are reasons for, there are reasons against. However, I still stand by my amendment, and I hope that you will vote for it.
Can I call on Councillor Parker to respond as the final speaker to the debate on the amendment?
Yes, thank you very much. An interesting debate. Thank you, Councillor Cleary, for your amendment. I think I probably anticipated that. And thank you to Councillor Glass, Heron and Tip for your comments as well. I thought they were interesting. I'm wary of speaking without notes because I might go into sort of the usually frowned upon party political grandstanding. You know, I hear the word mediocrity and 14 years of that Conservative government flashes before my eyes. You know, I can't think of anything else. And in terms of chaos, what else did we have other than chaos, you know, under just so many different cascading leaders in the Tories. So, okay, let's see what happens. Interesting debate.
Thank you. Right, members, we will now go to the vote on the amendment to the motion proposed by Councillor Cleary. I will now ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote.
Vote is now open and it's voting for, if you want to vote for the amendment proposed by Councillor Cleary. The vote is about to close.
Members, the amendment is carried. Members, if carried, the amended motion becomes a substantive for further debate. Members, can I call any further speakers on the substantive motion? Councillor Murray?
Yes, thank you. It's more of a question for Councillor Parker, and just where the inspiration for it come from. Is it something that's come from yourself? Is it something that's come down from the parties? And should we expect other councils to be doing the same, or should we be hearing other councils doing the same?
Thank you. Could I call on Councillor Parker as the final speaker to the debate? Oh, sorry. So it's Councillor Wade?
Thank you, Chairman. I think that the essence of this is, if you do the same, together a very good motion saying that we want change. The fact that we may not get the voting system changed within time for the mayoral elections is academic. We just go along doing the same old thing, we get the same old results. Governments and politicians elected on minorities of the vote, that is not democratic. Democracy is being elected by the voice and the will of the people, all of them. Have a more collaborative style of government will stop the pendulum swings from one inefficient way of doing it to another. Therefore, this is acting differently. And I know Conservative with a big C, Conservative little c, is very hard for you. The fact that you are prepared to support some of this motion is very positive. It means there is a level. You're starting to learn about political maturity beyond the old way of doing things. Very reassuring, very reassuring. But back to the main point, that politics is in turmoil at the moment. If we don't start trying to do things differently, we will not solve the problems that face our nation, face our district, and face our residents. And we have to stand up for our residents more than party politics, more than anything else, because they're the people that put the cross on the bit of paper, elect their elected members. And I really encourage you to look at doing things differently. We want to get the better results for our residents going forward. We need to be more collaborative. We need to forget the old ways and look at doing things differently in a different way. So I fully support the motion. I'm saddened that you have rejected one part of it, but we are where we are. But I certainly support the rest of it.
Thank you. Councillor Wade? No, I think Jack Davis was first. Thank you. Oh. You've got a bigger arm.
Well, I'm incredibly polite. We're very British. I would just say, firstly, I am disappointed that the amendment passed. I felt that the amendment has almost gutted, well, it has gutted a significant portion of this motion. The motion now is effectively about financial barriers to standing, which I think all of us would be very much in favour of supporting. I do think that whatever happens going forward, the leader of the council, I just want to confirm that you will support this motion at the moment, because obviously it depends. Is it going to be you that's going to be writing to the other people, the leader of the Hampshire County Council and everyone, or is it going to be Chief Exec? I think that needs to be clarified just so we know exactly what we're voting on. Well, yes, because the motion says you'll write to it if you support it.
There's no point me adding to that one. I completely support it. I want to talk on item 2 because I think this is an absolutely important suggestion. There are many people in this room who could put themselves forward for such a future role that couldn't afford to give up time for work, family life, nor could they simply be able to afford £5,000, which is a significant amount of money. And how many very, very decent possible candidates of all over the spectrum, of all over politics in our community, miss out on standing for office because they're costed out. The reason I'm so keen on this is so many of our MPs represent areas they haven't lived in. They've been thrown in there by their political parties to win a seat. And I want to make sure that if you come across anyone, whether they are an engineer to a bus driver to someone who has never given a thought of working politics, might be in their 20s or their 30s, and wants to have a voice, they deserve a chance. And you need to make these processes as equal as possible. Otherwise, our mayoral candidates will just be politicians from elsewhere who have just been thrown into the role because it's considered a safe seat. And I just think there's lots of prospective candidates out there who are missing out by not being given the opportunity. Without the greatest respect, this isn't the most representative room of the New Forest. We have 8 out of 48 female candidates and a particularly on average old council. And I now count myself among that. So if you want representative democracy moving forward, you've got to make it easier and fairer. So I fully support the remaining motion.
Thank you. Councillor Tipp.
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. Of course, the amendment was one and now is the substantive motion. So what we're arguing about, what we're discussing, is the motion of reducing the costs. And I'm quite happy to support that. I don't think there's any point in going over the other part of the motion. I would point out, though, that if you're going to stand for election anywhere these days, any major election, you will need substantial amount of money to put out your literature and your social media and all the rest of it. So although I agree to reduce these amounts, an MP only has to pay £500 deposit. And so this is a substantial increase on that to 5,000. But I still think probably that 500 is a little bit low, because as you say in your motion, Councillor Parker, we don't want frivolous candidates, do we? So we do need a sufficient deposit. We need a sufficient deposit to keep frivolous candidates out.
Thank you. Councillor Heron.
Thank you, Chairman. I greatly believe in democracy. I think it's one of the greatest rights we have in this country. We are very, very lucky. There are millions of people in this world who don't have that benefit. And as such, I am very, very keen to see that any barriers that are put in the way of anyone being elected or standing for election are removed. For that reason, I am very happy to support the part of the motion that removes those barriers. But it was interesting in the discussion on this part of the debate where Malcolm Wade said that he wanted to change the results, and the way to change the results was to change the way elections were run. That isn't kind of fiddling the books as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the results. I'll look at a new way of working them to see whether I can get the result I want. First past the post isn't excellent. It's just demonstrated democracy in working first past the post, and the amendment was one. We work very well with it. It does provide democracy. We do have an issue with the numbers who turn out to vote, and we should all work very hard to encourage them to do so. But as Councillor Davies said, it is that ability to make change that should encourage people to turn out to vote. If you turn out in votes in numbers, you will be able to make that change. I think some people are a little worried that too many parties look too similar at the moment, so that actually the vote for one is not a vote, and why a new party may be showing strong at the moment. But the part of the motion which supports democracy will always, always get my vote.
Thank you. Councillor England.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this is an interesting debate, and I thank Councillor Parker for bringing it forward. I can actually speak to the whole of this council. When I first had the privilege of joining this council, I think there was myself and another person that wasn't, well, I was the only person that wasn't politically aligned to anything. And there were only 2 of us that were completely separate. It was an interesting journey. But I can also say that as an independent and financially independent, it's not been the easiest task to go through, but I actually have not been bought by anybody or anything at any time. And I feel that the electorate feel terribly disenfranchised, that they're not listened to. And they go, it's the same old, and I'd like this council to prove them wrong and to work collaboratively, not on a point-scoring exercise, so we can get the best for this council and for the constituents of the whole of the forest to get this outcome of this slightly ridiculous devolution train wreck that we're on. So I would really like you all to put one side of the barracking, bringing it forward better ideas, better suggestions, and working collaboratively and prove that it can be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Cleary, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we are working collaboratively. I just do not want to change the voting system. So, democratic accountability in Hampshire, tick. The high cost of standing, we are going to be dealing with that, tick. Lowering financial barriers, tick. Call for the cost of standing for election to be lowered, tick. Request formal support from the leader of Hampshire County Council, the Minister of Communities, Housing and Local Government, the local MPs, New Forest West and New Forest East. I am more than happy to write to them. Tick. What's the problem?
Thank you. Could I call on Councillor Parker as the final speaker to the debate then, please?
Thank you, Chairman. Blimey, I'm a bit speechless after that. I mean, I agree, but I don't have a great deal to add. Read the question on the genesis of this motion. It's come about through conversations in the wider Green Party. I think probably nationally, I hope we will see more of these kind of debates being replicated in other councils across the country. Honestly, I've voted to abstain on the amendment, but I think on balance, I'd rather have the amendment than nothing. The high cost of standing was a particularly important point to me, and I'm very grateful for this debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Members, we will now go to the vote on the substantive motion. I will now ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote.
Okay, that vote is now open to vote for the substantive motion. We're closing the vote now.
Okay. Members, the substantive motion is carried. We now move on to agenda item 11, attendance dispensation under section 85 of the Local Government Act 1972. Members, on the agenda is a recommendation to waive the legal requirement in relation to Councillor Thierry on the good reason of ill health grounds to prevent him being automatically disqualified as a councillor for not attending council meetings for a period of 6 consecutive months from the date of his last attendance. Councillor Cleary, will you move this recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I will move this recommendation, but it is with a saddened heart. We all know how vocal Councillor Thierry is, and we all know he is a good debater, but his health at the moment is not brilliant. So I do ask everyone to support this. Thank you.
Councillor Steve Davis, will you second?
Very happy to second, Chairman.
Does any member wish to speak on this item? Councillor Davis.
Sorry, I have an amendment to make it that it's the full council in December.
Okay, has he got a second?
Have you got a seconder for that amendment?
Do I have a seconder?
Yeah. Councillor Hayward.
Councillor Hayward, thank you very much.
Councillor Davis. You have 5 minutes to speak on this amendment.
Thank you. I won't need 5 minutes, so don't worry. It's just to say, obviously, this is a very difficult situation, and it's trying to get the balance right between supporting Councillor Thierry, who I think we all know and love over many years, with ensuring that residents get the representation they deserve. In this situation, I was disappointed that Councillor Hayward, as his ward colleague, was not consulted on this before it was brought to the councillors and leaders of the group. I think in these instances, the ward colleague should be the first person consulted with, because they're the one who are going to have to pick up the slack. They're the one who are going to have to do twice the amount of work. So I think that's my first point. My second point is I do think a year is too long. Obviously, you've got a situation where a councillor's ill, but if a councillor's ill for a prolonged period of time, they really should be stepping aside so that someone who is able to do the job can do it. So I understand why this has been brought. I would ask that it's a slightly reduced time in order to allow for Councillor Thierry's hopefully to get better, and he'll be hopefully within those 6 months or whatever. But if he can't, then obviously you need to make sure that the residents are getting the representation they deserve.
Thank you. Councillor Heron, would you like to respond?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I can assure Councillor Davies that... Oh, he couldn't.
My mistake. Excuse me. Sorry. I've got another list here now. Right. I've got to ask the seconder of the amendment can reserve the right to speak later. Yeah? Yeah. Any other members? Next, Councillor Heron.
Thank you very much. I can assure Councillor Davies that Councillor Thierry remains very active in his role as a councillor, continuing to work within the community and work predominantly by email, which most of us will accept is a very common factor for the way in which our constituents now work, and that he continues to work very well on that. His difficulty is obviously in his mobility and his ability to drive, which makes coming over here, given the fact that it's quite some distance, a very difficult operation for him, and his prolonged periods that he has to spend in hospital. But he does remain very active. I can also assure Councillor Davies that Ringwood South and Ringwood North have always had somewhat of a bit of a mixed boundary line. The area that line is drawn on has never really been hard and fast. It's always been a little blurry. Even Councillor Hayward will assure you that he strays onto my patch, possibly not as much as I stray onto his, but we do. And indeed, the other day I was a representative at the Stillwater Park meeting, which neither of the councillors for that ward, Ringwood North, were available for. So as you can see, we do have, it isn't simply a matter of one councillor picking it up. A lot of the work and the going out and meeting with constituents will happily be picked up, I'm sure, by me and my colleague, and I am pretty certain that Councillor Hayward will also do his part in that. So it is not simply that matter. I think the long time that Councillor Thierry has served this community, we do deserve to give him that, and I hope that he will return in full health ahead of that year schedule. But it would be a bit pointless to set this up and then have to do it just for another month or something. So I think that setting it up for the year is a very, very sensible, practical way of reducing the paperwork and keeping the administrative burden to a minimum while supporting him and the wider community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm genuinely sorry to hear that Councillor Thierry has got these poor health issues, and I wish him all the best for a speedy recovery. This is not the first time this council has been very sympathetic to requests for a Conservative councillor due to ill health and needing extra time off. I can think of at least once or twice over the years in the past. The only problem is, sometimes you get that in your ear, that noise. I'm thinking, if it was one of us, if it was a Liberal Democrat, if it was an Independent, if it was a Green, how would the Conservatives approach it if it was one of us? However, I'm not a Conservative, so I don't have to be bound by that approach. It's just one of those things in your mind. But there is an argument, because we have this on other councils as well, that it can't go on forever for the sake of representation of the people. So reviewing it after 6 months to see how how it's going to go, it may be for his own sake the right thing to do, thinking of the health of the councillor and how he can contribute, not feeling the pressure that he has to come to another meeting if he's really poorly. Looking at this from a humanitarian aspect, I can see the understanding for at the very least reviewing it in 6 months to see whether it is needed another month, another few weeks. Well, what's another month after 6 months? But with saying it's got to a year, is that really the right thing to do? We need to perhaps look at how we can support Councillor Thierry and find out if he's well enough to carry on after that without him feeling he's pressured, I've got to go to a meeting. So, I mean, 6 and 2 threes over this.
Thank you. Councillor Clark.
Mr. Chairman, it won't surprise you, I'm profoundly against this move. The rule is simple. We're not a cosy club. We're a local authority. And the rule is simple, and rightly so. If a councillor fails to attend a meeting for 6 months without valid reason or formal dispensation, their seat is declared vacant. That's not bureaucracy, it's accountability, and the local populace expect us to provide that accountability. The rule exists to protect the integrity of our local democracy. Again, back to the democracy term. It ensures that those elected to serve are present, they are engaged, and they're doing the job that the public entrusted them to do so. We don't yet know, and I did ask this afternoon whether the County Council were providing a similar dispensation. Answer, there came none. When, of course, life happens to all of us. Illness, bereavement, personal hardship, that's why the law allows for exceptions when they are warranted. But to grant an exception after the 6-month limit without a timely request is not compassion. It is setting a precedent that attendance is optional, which is completely unacceptable. We all know the rules. When we stood for office, we signed that bit of paper. We all owe our residents a basic standard of participation. If we start choosing, bending the rules maybe, let's go to a town council this month, let's go to a county council next month, but we won't go to the NFDC. If we start bending the rules retrospectively, we undermine public trust. And trust is the foundation of absolutely everything we do here. So this is not about one individual, and I'm sorry for Councillor Thierry, I have sympathy. But it's about the principle. If you can't attend, you must explain. If you don't explain, you can't stay. So let's uphold the rule, not for its own sake, but for the sake of the people that we serve.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
I just wanted to make a slightly different point to Councillor Clark in that whatever decision that we do, and I am sympathetic to reviewing it after 6 months, is that with the greatest respect, council meetings can be bi-monthly, everyone votes on political lines, many don't speak. I'm sure that Councillor Thierry is attending his town council meetings, as I'm led to believe, and he's doing casework. I had a similar situation, nowhere near as serious, but where I missed a few meetings, and I was contacted on similar lines. I personally don't think that it would have come to council and I would have been voted to maintain. However, I was doing casework, answering calls in the hospital when my son was born. I know I was doing council work, and I'm sure Councillor Thierry is doing that, as I'm led to believe. So I don't believe the role of a councillor is attending to a meeting, sat there voting for something and not speaking. There is plenty you all do outside of here over 6 months, be it casework, be it town and parish councils. So I do believe it should be reviewed, but I do think it's fair to understand that if a councillor is attending their town council meetings, if they're doing casework, irrelevant of their political party, then it is something to be aware of in such discussions. And I hope this sets a precedent that anyone in this room will be treated the same.
Thank you. Councillor Hayward, I will ask you to respond in a minute as a seconder.
Yeah, obviously I'm not aligned to any political party, so I'm not bound by anything. The recommendation on there I would fully support. I will understand Councillor Hayward was saying, well, I'm working one person on a ward. I've just done that for 2 years on my own. The other councillor attended enough meetings not to have to be kicked off the council, but did nothing. Councillor Thierry, he and I clashed quite a bit. I saw him recently. He's up to date. I cover a parish council with him and a town council in the same ward. He's up to date with the parish council that I cover and the town council. And I know that he's been doing things even from his hospital bed. So I'd rather work with somebody like that than somebody who attends the right number of meetings. So I will support that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Linford. Right, I'll call on Councillor Hayward for the response as a seconder.
Thank you, Chair. I seconded this motion to get the widest range of options and voices in this because I think it's very complex. On a personal level, I work very closely with Councillor Theory. I wish him well, but I do think that there are some key principles in this, and I thank particularly Councillor Mark Clark for voicing those principles. So I think that we needed the widest range of options here. I can attest personally that Councillor Theory has worked casework from a hospital bed because I have in fact phoned him and been answered from a hospital bed. So I know personally that that has happened. I don't think that the ability of Councillor Theory to do casework is in question. And I also acknowledge the point that Councillor Heron made is we do cross boundaries. I cross into Ringwood South as well. People phone me from Ringwood South and there's no point, sometimes there's no point passing it on to Ringwood South Council because the query can be answered quite quickly and dealt with. So we do that. But there are so many contrasting emotions versus principles in here that I think it's important that we have this broad debate. I'm still not sure how I'm going to vote on this one in particular, but I did second this to get this debate open and to get everything on the table. I think it's right to think about Councillor Theory in this and giving him space to get better, but at the same time, I think it's absolutely right to think about our residents, about democracy. We've just had a big debate that I actually didn't contribute to about democracy in terms of voting mechanisms. I think we need to think about the democracy element of this. The rules are in place for a reason. This cannot go on forever. Much as I get on very well personally with Councillor Theory and I wish him well, it cannot go on forever. A line will need to be drawn at some point. I urge that to be uppermost in all members' minds when we go to the vote on this amendment and possibly on the substantive motion at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hayward. I move to the mover of the amendment, Councillor Davis, for a response.
Thank you. Again, this was not done with any ill intent. I wish Michael all the best. My worry is about the long time with which to give, and I was trying to reduce that down to get that balance right between accountability to our residents, but also to give Michael the time he needs to recover. So I do hope that all councillors vote in favour of this. I think it is a balanced approach, but obviously we'll wait and see. But thank you everyone for sharing your views.
I'll return to the mover of the original motion. Councillor Cleary, would you like to respond?
If ever there was a councillor that was devoted to hard work, Michael Thierry is the epitome of it. Good grief, he even came straight from his hospital bed after just having toes amputated in bandages so he could take part in a council meeting. I think he deserves to have 12 months leeway. Let the poor man get better, and let's send love and hugs to him so that he has that ability to get better and rejoin us with his wonderful vocal tones back in this council chamber.
Thank you. Could I ask the monitoring officer for the wording to the amendment as we propose?
Thank you. The wording of the amendment, have I got it? If you look at the recommendation, which is on the final page of the agenda before you, at the moment it's recommended that the requirement for Councillor Thierry to attend any meeting of the authority be waived until the Council's annual meeting on the 18th of May. The amendment would be to to replace the 18th of May 2026 with the 15th of December 2025, so that the requirement would be waived until the Council's meeting on the 15th of December 2025, and then the reference at the end of the recommendation would be to the same date, the 15th of December 2025. That's the date that he would need to attend next to comply.
Are you happy? Then we'll move to vote on this amendment. I will ask the monitoring officer to explain how we're going to take this vote now.
This vote will be taken by electronic voting. My colleagues will be opening the vote shortly. If you vote for, you'll be voting for the amendment, which will then move that date back to the 15th of December 25. That vote is now closing.
The amendment was lost. We return to the original motion for further debate. Is there anything else anyone else want to make a comment? Councillor England, sorry.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I would just like to thank all councillors who chose what I believe the right way was, and I will declare how I voted. Nobody knows what's around the corner for them, and if this gentleman has the capacity and capability to work for his constituents, the fact he is unable to show up here I'm very sad, but I don't believe he's negligent of his duties. So that is what I would just like to say. Thank you.
Councillor Wade.
Chairman, as we're debating this in council, can we not send the best wishes of the council to Councillor Thierry, hoping him for a speedy recovery, and he won't need 12 months off? Thank you.
Thank you. Members, we will now go to the vote on the recommendation. I will ask officers to proceed with an electronic vote for this item.
That vote is now open. That vote is now closing. Before you, Chairman.
Members, the motion is carried. Moving on, agenda item 12, meeting dates for the 2025-26 municipal year. Members, the meeting dates for the 25-26 municipal year are set out on the agenda, which have been previously agreed. I trust these are noted. Agenda item 13, any other items which the chairman decides are urgent. As members will know, Tanya Coulter, our Assistant Director, Governance and Monitoring Officer, will be leaving the authority at the end of May, and therefore this will be her last full council meeting. Just to stir it today. Please can you join me in thanking her for all the work and advice she has given over the last 2 years. She has played a key role in modernising our governance, and I know her teams across elections, democratic and business support, legal and information governance and complaints will miss her engaged leadership and wise counsel. Tanya is retiring after nearly a quarter of a century in local government. She demonstrates the best of public service values, and we wish her all the best for the future. This concludes the business of the annual council meeting. I'd like to declare the meeting is closed and move on to the annual meetings of committees and panels. So now we're on to this, right? Are we ready? Members, we will now hold each of the annual meetings of committees and panels to elect the chairman and appoint a vice chairman for the forthcoming year. I will ask the monitoring officer to take each committee and panel through the process. Appeals Committee. Please can I ask the following members of the Appeals Committee to stand up? John Adams, Alan Elvey, Barry Dunning, Alan Glass, myself, Neil Tungate, Christine Ward, Mark Clark, Philip Dowd, Colm McCarthy, Phil Woods, Joe Riley, and John Hayward. Do I have any apologies?
Apologies have been received from councillors Adams and Woods.
Monitoring officer, will you please take the committee through the election of chairman?
Thank you, Chairman. Do I have any nominations for chairman? Councillor Glass.
I would like to nominate Councillor John Sleep.
Is there a seconder?
I'm happy to second.
Are there any other nominations? There being no other nominations, Councillor John Sleep is elected as chairman.
Thank you.
With your permission, Chairman, I'll continue to take the committee through the remaining agenda item,
Please do.
which is the appointment of the vice chairman. And can I ask the committee members to stand, please, whilst we just deal with this item? Do I have any nominations for the appointment of vice chairman of the appeals panel? Councillor Sleep.
I'd like to propose Councillor Alan Glass.
Is there a seconder?
Happy to second that.
Sir Tungate. A nomination for Mark Clark. Is there a seconder? Seconded. So we'll go to a secret ballot, and I will ask the colleagues in Democratic Services to come round, and if members could write the name of the member who they would wish to be vice chairman of the panel on the slip, please.
Could you make sure the names are clearly marked? Full name, please, for the benefit of the counters. So it will be Councillor Alan Glass or Mark Clark.
Right.
I think we're doing all right. Will it be declared to me or does it go? Is it going to go to Tanya? Could I have a slip of paper?
Should be standing up.
I was.
Members, if you wish to sit down now, I think that's reasonable. Thank you.
Members, the result is Councillor Glass 6, Councillor Mark Clark 5. I declare Alan is Vice Chair. Members, moving on. Audit Committee. Please can I ask the following members of the Audit Committee to stand up? John Adams, Alan Elvey, Kate Cressell, Alan O'Sullivan, Richard Young, Caroline Rackham, Malcolm Wade, Jackie England and Janet Richards. Do I have any apologies?
Apologies for the committee have been received from Councillor Adams and Councillor Rackham.
Monitoring Officer, will you please take the committee through the election of chair?
Thank you, Chairman. Do I have any nominations for Chairman of the committee?
Yes, please. Councillor Alvey.
Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Are there any other nominations? Thank you. For there being no other nominations, Councillor Alvey is elected as Chairman of the committee for the next year. With your permission, I will continue to take the committee through the remaining agenda items to the appointment of Vice Chairman. Do I have any nominations for the appointment of Vice Chairman?
I'd like to nominate Councillor Adams.
Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor. Are there any other nominations? There being no other nominations, Councillor Adams is the Vice Chairman of Audit Committee for the next year. The third item on the agenda is the dates and times of meetings. Please can members note the dates and times of meetings for 25 to 26. And that concludes the meeting of the Audit Committee. Thank you, members.
Thank you. General Purposes and Licensing Committee. Please can I ask the following members of the committee to stand up? Steve Clark, Alan Glass, David Hawkins, Dave Penny, Alvin Reid, Neil Tungat, Richard Young, Jack Davis, Philip Dowd, David Harrison, Colm McCarthy, Nigel Linford and Janet Richards. Do I have any apologies?
Apologies have been received from Councillor Reid.
Monitoring Officer, will you please take the committee through the election of chairman?
Thank you, Chairman. Do I have any nominations for Chairman?
Yes, please.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Tungate.
Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Clark. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Davies.
Councillor Harrison.
Is there a seconder?
I would be delighted to second that.
Thank you. We have two nominations and we will go through the process for a secret ballot. Thank you, members. Just to remind members, the proposed nominations are Councillor Tungate and Councillor Harrison.
General Purposes Committee, the result is Councillor Tungate 7, Councillor Harrison 5. Councillor Tungate is elected.
Chairman, I'll continue to proceed through the meeting to the appointment of Vice Chairman. Do I have any nominations for the appointment of Vice Chairman? Councillor Tungate.
I would nominate Councillor Young, who's ably supported me the last couple of years.
Are there any seconder? Any other nominations? Councillor Davies.
I'd like to propose Councillor McCarthy.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Harrison. Thank you. So we have a contested vote, Councillor McCarthy and Councillor Young.
Members, the vote is Young 6, McCarthy 5, and we have one spoilt ballot. So Young is it.
Members of the committee, just to...
Members, please, we'll be here all night.
The final item on that agenda is that for members to note the dates and times of the meeting which have been set for 25-26, and that concludes the meeting of the General Purposes and Licensing Committee.
Thank you. HR Committee, please can I ask the following members of the committee to stand up? Gio Cleary, Kate Cressell, Steve Davis, Jeremy Heron, Alan O'Sullivan, Mark Clark, Sean Cullen, Colin McCarthy, Joe Riley. Do I have any apologies?
There are none.
Monitoring Officer, will you please take the committee through the election of chairman?
Thank you, Chairman. Do I have any nominations for Chairman of the HR Committee?
I nominate Jill Cleary.
Nomination Cullen.
Taking the first nomination first, we have a seconder for Jill Cleary. Thank you, Councillor Heron. Is there a seconder? Thank you. Do we have a contested election, members, and a secret ballot will be taken?
So what have we got? Who did they nominate? Sean Cullen. Members, the result for HR Committee, Joe Cleary 5, Sean Cullen 4. Cleary is elected.
With your permission, Chairman, I'll continue to take the committee through the remaining agenda items, which is the appointment of the Vice Chairman. Do we have any nominations for the appointment of Vice Chairman? Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Heron. Are there any other nominations? Nomination for Sean Cullen. Is there a seconder? That's seconded. That's contested election, so we move to a secret ballot.
Members, the result, Sean Davis 5, Steve Davis 5, Sean Cullen 4. Sorry. No name changes.
Thank you, Chairman. The final item on that agenda is for members to note dates and times of meetings for 25-26, and that concludes the meeting of the HR Committee.
Thank you. Planning Committee, please can I ask the following members of the committee to stand up? Richard Frampton, Matthew Hartman, David Hawkins, Dave Penny, Barry Rickman, myself, Christine Ward, Jack Davis, Philip Dowd, Malcolm Wade, Phil Woods, Joe Riley and Janet Richards. Are there any apologies?
Apologies have been received from Councillor Woods.
Monitoring Officer, will you please take the committee through the election of chairman?
Do I have any nominations for chairman?
So I'm pleased to propose Christine Morwood.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
I'm even more.
Thank you, Councillor Frampton. Are there any other nominations? Councillor
I'd
Daly.
like to propose Councillor Wade.
Is there a seconder? Thank you. We have a contested elections, Councillor Malcolm Wade and Councillor Ward. So a secret ballot will be taken.
Running out of paper, aren't you? I will cancel the photographs now. Oh, dear, I want the screen to you. Members, the vote, Ward 9, Wade 3.
With your permission, Chairman, moving on to the appointment of the Vice Chairman. Do I have any nominations for the appointment of Vice Chairman? Thank you. Do I have a seconder? The nomination for Councillor Rickman. Are there any other nominations? On the basis there are no other nominations, Councillor Rickman is elected Vice Chairman of the Planning Committee. The final item on the agenda for Planning Committee tonight is just to note the dates and times of meetings for the next municipal year, and that concludes the meeting of the Planning Committee.
Thank you. Housing and Communities Overview and Scrutiny Panel. Please can I ask the following members of the panel to stand up? John Adams, Steve Clark, Kate Cressell, Richard Frampton, Neil Tungat, Hilary Brand, Sean Cullen, Patrick Mabala and Neville Penman. Are there any apologies?
Apologies have been received from Councillor Adams, and Councillor Rickman is attending as a nominated substitute.
Thank you. Please can I ask Councillor Rickman to stand up? Please don't spoil it for me. Monitoring Officer, will you please take the panel through the election of chairman?
Thank you. Do I have any nominations for Chairman? Councillor Cressell. Nomination for Steve Clark. Do I have any other nominations?
No.
On the basis there are no other nominations, Councillor Steve Clark is elected as chairman of the panel for the next year. And with your permission, Chairman, I'll continue to take the panel through the remaining agenda items. Number 2 is the appointment of vice chairman. Do I have any nominations for the appointment of vice chairman? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Grisell is nominated for vice chairman. Are there any other nominations? Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Brand. There's a nomination for Sean Cullen. That's contested, therefore we'll proceed to a secret ballot.
Members, Grisell 6, Cullen 3. Kate Grisell is elected.
Thank you, members. Just formally to note the dates and times of meetings of the committee for the municipal year, and that concludes the meeting of the Housing and Communities panel.
Thank you. Place and Sustainability Overview and Scrutiny Panel. Please can I have the following members of the panel to stand up? Alan Glass, Matthew Hartman, Alvin Reid, Steve Rippon-Swain, Michael Thierry, Stephanie Osborne, Malcolm Wade, Peter Armstrong and Adam Parker. Are there any apologies?
Apologies have been received from Councillors Reid and Thierry. Councillors Clark and Grisell will be attending as nominated substitutes.
Thank you. Please can I ask Councillors Clark and Grisell, they are standing. Monitoring Officer, will you please take the panel through the election of chairman?
Thank you, Chairman. Do I have any nominations for chairman? Do I have a seconder? Do I have any other nominations?
In the interest of having a more gender balance of chairman of our scrutiny panels, I'd like to nominate Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
Because the nomination for Stephanie Osborne, is that seconded? Thank you, Councillor Parker. So there's contested election of Councillor Osborne and Councillor Rippon-Swain. Members will have a secret ballot.
Members, the result, Steve Rippon Swain 6, Osborne, sorry, Stephanie, sorry, 3.
Thank you, Chairman. With your permission, I'll proceed with the other agenda items. The appointments of Vice Chairman. Do I have any nominations for the appointments of Vice Chairman? Is there a seconder? Proposal for Councillor Reid. Are there any other nominations? No. On that basis that there are no other nominations, Councillor Reid is elected as Vice Chairman of the panel. Final item is just to note the dates and times of meetings for the next year, and that concludes the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, Resources and Transformation Overview and Scrutiny Panel. Please can I ask the following members of the panel to stand up? Alan Elvey, Barry Dunning, Alan O'Sullivan, Barry Rickman, Christine Ward, Jack Davies, Alex Wade, Phil Woods and Jackie England. Are there any apologies?
Apologies have been received from Councillor Woods. Councillor Harrison will be attending as a nominated substitute.
Councillor Harrison stood standing. Monitoring Officer, will you please take the panel through the election of chairman?
Thank you very much. The election of chairman. Do I have any nominations for chairman? Councillor Davies.
I assume there are none for the Conservative side. I would like to nominate Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for Councillor Alex Wade? Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Are there any other nominations? A proposal for Michael O'Sullivan. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Rickman. It's a contested vote between Councillor O'Sullivan and Councillor Alex Wade.
Members of result, Councillor O'Sullivan 5, Wade 4.
Thank you. With your permission, I'll proceed to take the panel through the remaining agenda items. Number 2, the appointment of Vice Chairman. Do I have any nominations for the appointment of Vice Chairman? Councillor O'Sullivan. Proposer for Councillor Dunning. Is there a seconder? Councillor Rickman, thank you. Is there another nomination? Councillor Davies, please. Is there a seconder? Thank you very much. There's Councillor Jack Davis. Excuse me. And Councillor Dunning's contested election will be one more secret ballot.
That's it. We've got a few seconds then afterwards before I announce that. There'll be the guy outside with the torch.
Yeah, I know. They need to go quick there. Yeah. I don't know if it'll work. Get everybody down.
It's a clear sky, so we might be all right. Sorry. Members, the result, Dunning 5, Davis 4.
I'll beat it next year.
The final agenda item on that meeting is the dates and times of meetings for the next year. And that concludes the meetings of the Resources and Transformation Panel and the annual meetings. Thank you, Chairman.
Could I just say...